And that's the whole idea of what we're trying to do here. And what I'm very thankful for, very lucky to have been able to do in the past, and we will continue to do today. So without further ado, let me introduce my friend, Dr. Cheryl Pegas. Cheryl is our sponsor for a number of challenges we've done for the American Heart Association. She is now the Chief of Clinical Innovation at NYU, and she's going to talk to us today about partner momentum, like what it takes to get hospitals and partners engaged in your idea as an innovation, whether you're a corporate innovation department or just straight up startup. So if you're ready, Cheryl, I will stop filling this space.
Good morning, everyone. I have two mics, see which I'll use this one, I think. So today I wanted to first just let you guys know that Alex has been a great partner for us for a lot of startups that we've done through the American Heart Association as we look at furthering innovation in cardiovascular disease and stroke. It's been our honor, frankly, to partner with him over the last couple of years in starting this. And because of that, I think he asked me to talk about partnering. And so I wanted to actually start off because I think a lot of times we think, so much in healthcare is not getting done, so much is wrong in healthcare, and there's going to be all of this innovation that comes out and happens because we all need it to happen. But I wanted to start off by saying actually a lot's been happening because a lot of good partnerships have happened over the last number of years. This slide shows the improvement in mortality in the US from 1935 to 2010. And it's important for us to recognize that a lot of good products, services, healthcare, entrepreneurial energies have been put into healthcare. And even as we look at this, look at our youngest populations who, again, we tend to forget the improvements that are happening in the US healthcare system. This shows that for different age groups, even as our demographics change, healthcare improvement is occurring. And why is that? There are a couple of reasons. We're all focused on bringing needed, and I say needed as opposed to the Me Too's, we can do that as well as you can, needed diagnostic and therapeutics to patients. And we're doing it focused on a couple of things, delivering value and being cost effective. And so how does that happen? What are the components of bringing something to market? For everyone in the audience, as you think about this, as you think about what area do you specialize in helping to bring something to the market? Do you look at research? Are you an expert in regulations, production, implementation, or in clinical outcomes? Different pieces for all of this and different partners. In research, basic scientists, those people who are on the bench in the lab, pretty critical to have as your partners. Clinical researchers, once you've got something, be it a drug, a diagnostic test, or a device, who's going to help you design that clinical trial and test it on patients? So you actually need physicians who are doing clinical trials. They actually partner with pharmaceutical companies. And let us not forget regulation. For everyone who's sitting here saying, gosh, I need FDA expertise. These are found in many organizations that focus on quality, focus on regulations, and they're available to you as a startup by hiring them as a consultant. So think of who these partners are. Manufacturing and quality control, there's nothing like a good pharma or CRO to help you do that. And in implementing, when you finally get there, I always say, if you can't get someone to pay for it, you may not yet have a product. So making sure that insurers are there is pretty critical. And then clinical outcomes. If it doesn't work, by improving cost effectiveness, improving mortality, your product may not be priced well to sell in the market. All of these components are necessary, and depending on which one of these areas you're focused on, you are going to need a partner. Some of the partnerships that exist, and I put this up here because a lot of times when I'm talking to great entrepreneurs, they don't know about all of the other things that are going on in healthcare that are already proving to have great partnerships. I want to talk about the Accelerating Medicines Partnership. Is anyone in this room, have you heard of this before? This actually came about last year, 2014, where the NIH, 10 biopharmaceutical companies, and a number of not-for-profits got together to focus on 3 disease areas: Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, and rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. And what's happened with that? These are the partners. So if anyone thinks that partnerships aren't necessary to accelerate change, particularly in disease states where we don't have a lot of progress, absolutely necessary. Everyone realizes it. But more importantly, it's already occurring. And so we need to stay focused on what are the things you can bring to the marketplace in allowing that to occur. Some of the things that have come out of that so far: $6 million awarded. This is in 1 year. There's been shared data, which is pretty critical for those of you who've been in healthcare for a long time. Sometimes you find that healthcare has been siloed. That is changing quite a bit in healthcare. And there's a steering committee made up of all of the stakeholders who meet and make decisions. Other programs that are occurring: the American Heart Association. Many of you know one of the oldest not-for-profit organizations in the US actually spends more on healthcare research only after the NIH in heart disease and stroke. And the American Heart Association has been focused on innovation over the last number of years, funding a couple of companies, but also being that bridge for early startups and being able to have funding. We host an event. We've done it with Alex and MedStartr over the last couple of years, but we actually do it across the country. Again, organizations are already here. A lot of times innovators think the older organizations are not doing this. They're not only doing it, they're actually looking for partners and opportunities. The NIH and GSK, Ebola vaccines, other vaccines, partnerships are occurring rapidly. I want to spend a little bit of time on this 21st Century Cures initiative. If you guys have not heard about this, particularly entrepreneurs in technology, it's a pretty important initiative. The quote that I have here is actually what came out of this regulation: to unleash the power of digital medicine and social media. Not terms you would have thought of as being part of healthcare or definitely coming out of a bipartisan committee. And here's what they're doing. It passed in July of this year. They're looking at creative and adaptive trial designs, an innovation fund, and very, very important for those of us who work in developing medical apps, removing the regulatory uncertainty for the development of new medical apps. If this is an area you're interested in, this is something you definitely should look at. It's online, it's available, it helps guide you, even if you don't know a lot about this space, and it also tells you about other partners who are working in this area. I'm going to end with the Precision Medicine Initiative. Again, my job here is to let people know what are the things that are partnership opportunities for you. Precision Medicine Initiative, there's a cohort program enrolling 1 million Americans beginning in January 2016, and it's all voluntary. And so anyone, your patients, the people who are working in your organization can enroll. And here's what they're saying. We need to include data from people's physician charts, from their own biometric data, and from their self-reported data, be it their Fitbits or other components that they have, and genomic data, bringing that all together, sharing it so that we have a diverse group of data and population, and coming up with ways to improve healthcare delivery. This is probably the biggest partnership that has occurred because, one, it includes patients, consumers, frankly, and it allows you to have a say in what data is being shared. So this is the one that I think for many of us, when we think of partnerships, has really shown how far government, not-for-profits, healthcare systems have moved, I think, closer to some of the things we've seen in consumer-type technology and consumer engagement. So what's the goal for partnering? bring to market novel therapies, combat neglected diseases, and deliver cost-effective solutions. More importantly, what you'll be hearing about going forward in healthcare as we talk about value and delivering value in medicine is consumer engagement. And for all of the companies that are doing that well, frankly, many in the retail sector, they are partners in healthcare going forward. Data analytics comes up a lot. Everyone talks about data and what it is, how it's used. For those of you interested in the data aspects in healthcare, if you can't integrate with existing data platforms, you may not have a leg up. So really spending some time understanding how you integrate with EMRs, electronic medical records, pretty critical in being able to influence in healthcare. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was fantastic. I need to figure out how to work my level here. Luckily, the room's not that big. So that was a great introduction to the day and what we're going to be doing here, and I appreciate it. And thank you for your support, sponsorship, and the very nice words that you said for what we do. So our first panel today and our first panelist is pretty interesting. But for now, I'd like to call up the panelists, who are all pretty amazing in their own right. Anuj Desai, Bunny Ellerin, Cheryl Pegas, again, come take a seat. Zach Silver Zweig, and John Chelico from North Shore NYU. So, North Shore LIJ, excuse me. So the way these panels work, okay, so the idea here, and you guys all have name sheets. So as you guys will all find at your seats, there's instructions on how we're going to be judging. I don't think Amy is here. I think she came down from Boston, so I guess she got a little delayed. So you guys have a little bit more room on the panel. So the way this works is that each company pitching, Tim, if you want to get Mark's presentation up, main MagnaPath. So each company presenting will get 5 minutes, total of 5 minutes to pitch and tell us their story, okay? We're gonna have somebody keeping track of that time and holding up their hand when you have 1 minute left, and then again when you've got no time left. When he holds up his hand the second time, this is, now incidentally, this is Ashish Patel from DocGraph, awesome company, Fred Trotter's creation, but also Ashish's. Anyway, so my friend Ashish is gonna be the timer as well. And so when he holds up his hand, you have to stop. You don't have a choice, okay? Because it is a contest and there are prizes. You know, it has to be fair, and it is my name, right? So, it's even written on my jacket. So anyway, so they have 5 minutes, and then you guys get 5 minutes to grill them with any questions you have, okay? And then you'll see on your pages here, you have a scoring sheet which says, judge these companies based upon whatever it is. Believe me, we've done this like at least 2 or 3 dozen times before. So this is a science to it. So anyway, so you're just gonna use your scale. I think it's 1 to 10 or 1 to 5?
1 to 10.
1 to 10. At the same time, Jim Lebret, Dr. Lebret from NYU, is going to be tweeting out a Twitter poll, which we're gonna use to measure what you guys think. Assuming that you follow MedStartr, or you can find it, or you're following the hashtag MedMo15, you'll be able to do that. Welcome, have a seat. So that's pretty much how it runs. So we're gonna have 4 companies presenting, assuming everybody made it. And starting out with Mark Pugnata. I'm gonna mangle names all day. Who has been a member of Health 2.0 for like 5 years, 4 years? I remember first noticing him because he had a Kelvin and Hobbes icon, and we've been friendly ever since. So, are you ready? Okay, so timer ready? Let's give the timer a second. And go.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Mark Pugnata, co-founder of MagnaPath USA, dedicated to eliminating painful diagnostic procedures. As a biomedical engineer specializing in imaging, I was unable to recommend a non-invasive alternative to my father, when he was diagnosed with liver cancer. That is, until now. MagnaPath has created a non-invasive non-invasive biopsy to help patients with liver disease avoid the painful needle biopsy procedure. Liver disease is becoming increasingly prevalent. It's estimated that 30% of the general population and 75% of the obese population are dealing with this condition, which is currently a hot topic for clinical research, clinical trials, and clinical practice. Whether for hepatitis or fatty liver disease, the gold standard in diagnosis is the very invasive needle biopsy, which has the following concerns. Each procedure costs approximately $3,000 and increases if there are complications. It can take up to 5 hours, including recovery time, and the results are not immediately available. 25% of patients experience significant pain lasting up to 1 week, and the sample obtained is about the size of a grain of rice, which yields only limited results from that location of the biopsy. So today I'm pleased to present LiverMap as the virtual biopsy for the digital diagnosis of liver disease. We are competitively priced below the needle biopsy procedure because it all begins with a simple MRI scan of the entire liver without the need for any needle injections or contrast agents, and completed within just 5 minutes. As a result, LiverMap shows the amount and location of the fat, iron, inflammation, and fibrosis throughout the entire liver. Our platform is scanner agnostic and offered on a pay-per-use, software-as-a-service basis, allowing any imaging facility anywhere to utilize the latest imaging biomarkers without the requirement of a long-term, expensive service contract. Unlike circulating biomarkers, ultrasound or magnetic resonance elastography, or other service providers, our imaging biomarkers are based on platform technology, which will allow for the rapid development of other virtual biopsies in other organs, tissues, for other therapeutic areas, and fundamentally established as a technology, not a teleradiology service. So over the last 18 months, our traction has included 250 individual users from 30 countries, active clinical trials with academic institutions, partnerships with clinical research organizations and industry sponsors. And we are currently conducting a head-to-head validation study in Brazil, comparing our MRI technique directly to the needle biopsy. Completion is anticipated for Q1 of 2016, and we are currently seeing strong accuracy and precision results in our interim analysis. We are initially targeting the pharmaceutical vertical through direct sales and prior clients and experience, where our revenue comes from an individual $2,000 per analysis and additional options for CRO services, with average contract sizes ranging between $250,000 to $1.5 million for phase 1 through 3 trials. We will be developing marketing and sales force to independently target the clinical imaging facilities. With 30,000 scanners performing 125 million scans annually, we see a global opportunity to standardize medical imaging, and we calculate a potential for over 100 million in annual revenue based on a 5% target market, which our model projects to achieve within the first year based on immediate start with pending contracts from pharmaceutical clients. Our team includes expertise in biomarker development, medical device and diagnostics, and multi-center operations, previously achieving regulatory approval, companion diagnostic status, and listing as a public company. In summary, we are ready to commercialize and are opening a seed round of $2 million to conduct US-based validation studies, to submit our applications for regulatory review, and to increase outreach to additional biotech and pharmaceutical companies. This is the future of digital diagnosis. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so now it's 5 minutes of question and answer with the panel, and we have a few mics for you. So who wants the first question? Dr. Pegas?
I don't know if I need a mic, but
So my first question is this patented? Can others use this technology?
We have some fundamental patents on how our imaging post-processing algorithms are reconstructing the images. So we are patent pending in the
So while the Q&A
PCT extension phase with all of the major countries.
So not yet patented.
Almost complete, yes.
Is there competition?
There is competition, but when we've assessed them, their basis is technology different, business model different, even their ISO certifications and how they're developed, all focused on a more of a teleradiology play just for the liver, one only. As presented by the slides, we're actually looking at a biomarker platform where our next developments would be kidney biopsy, prostate biopsy. We would be able to rapidly develop something for the brain, Alzheimer's, et cetera.
In terms, I didn't see much mention of physicians who might be involved with the company. Are there physicians? What's the use case then? And what are the...
Sure. So in terms of physicians, we have some quite high-level key opinion leader consultants. We're yet to form our scientific advisory board, et cetera. But our initial outreach in the New York area and abroad from prior experience running these type of trials and work are the physicians who, hepatology, GI, who are interested in using this as a non-invasive marker. Secondary market for us is the radiology facility, and we've gotten direct customer feedback of, yes, this is of great interest because I cannot purchase the manufacturer's $300,000. It's cost prohibitive to purchase the manufacturer's $300,000 package for liver iron. Oh, with yours, it could be a couple $100 just for 1 or 2 or 3 on an individual basis for me to determine if I can build that referral basis from the liver hep guys before actually scaling. And then for us, we would seek to develop complementary licenses first, build that additional revenue stream, and then if it's scale, could we consider per seat, per site, enterprise, large health facilities, et cetera.
So the gold standard before someone pursues treatment for some of these things is not without its risk. Why wouldn't patients want to go through the risk of getting a liver biopsy if they really need to get treatment for one of these diseases?
Why would they? Or I'm sorry.
Why wouldn't they want to get the minimal risk compared to the treatment risk? And that's really the question, because I mean, the risk of treating somebody without a real diagnosis is almost, I don't know many physicians that would actually treat somebody without a physical tissue diagnosis. So this would only be get you a little bit closer to a diagnosis, but will never give you the diagnosis without getting the tissue. So it's only another diagnostic test that may just end you up getting you a biopsy in the end.
I cannot speak from a physician and a diagnostic perspective, but from our technical and scientific perspective, with the direction that the digital diagnosis is going, is that we are literally head-to-head and starting to identify, even separating out the inflammation and fibrosis that the needle biopsy itself picks up. So in terms of the tissue typing and the underlying biomarkers, the added components with the needle biopsy taking a small sample is not beyond what we can do for the entire liver. There is so much additional components of even inflammation around the portal vein, which you're not going to be able to biopsy or use by ultrasound. We're able to capture the entire liver, and then to be able to have it be as acceptable as the needle biopsy is what we're in trials right now for.
Okay, we had to cut the questions off there, but I want to thank Mark. That was fantastic. I want to thank the panel. This is the first of 4 presentations. Big round of applause for Mark. And thank you to the panel. These great questions. Now, you'll see panelists, each of these pages has room for you to write additional questions. So I'm sure you didn't get to ask every question you wanted to them, So if you want to have follow-up calls or whatever, we're going to give these feedback forms to the actual people. So if you want to put your name on it or not, that's up to you. But the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to collect them all, and then we're going to go to Ashish, who's going to enter them. And then by the end, if we have enough data, we will tell you who won this particular pitch contest. If not, then we will wait till the end of the day. So tweet out what you think about this idea, and tell them, using MedMo as the hashtag. If you really like them, tell them in the voting panel that Jim put up. So now our next up is an interesting company, Care and Wear. Are you here, Care and Wear? Yeah. Okay, great. So they've got a really cool product that I'll let them tell you all about. And while Tim sets them up, are you all ready, Tim? Okay, so finish up your scoring. Once you're done with the scoring sheet, pass them all down to the right, and then they'll go over to Anuj. Make sure you write the company name on the top.
No, it was, I think you want full screen.
Okay, Anuj, your timer ready? Sorry. Sheesh. That's Anuj, that's Ashish.
It is shared.
It required math at the end. We just left that blank.
Doctors doing math? They didn't teach you that in medical school, right?
Unnecessary, we partner for that.
Oh, yeah. Let's do this then.
Okay.
Because I didn't look over my shoulder.
Technical challenges.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different.
So I think we should probably use this time. Okay, Bunny. What do you? So we're talking about hospital innovations. So, in your view, what is the most interesting hospital innovation you've seen in the last year?
Is it on now? I would say the most interesting hospital innovation is really not anything technical, but rather a focus on the patient and much more focus on empathy. All of the technology, it's so cool, so exciting, and it will, expedite and innovate. But at the end of the day, what patients really want and what they respond to is human empathy. And more I hear this from doctors, from systems, from patients, and there are all these conferences, coming up around it. So anyhow, I think we should never lose sight of the human aspect of care.
Okay, well, thank you, Bunny. And thank you for helping to fill that dead space. So without further ado, Karen Ware is going to spend 5 minutes telling you about what they're up to.
Sure. Thanks so much. Good morning. My name is Chat Razdan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Karenware, and what we're doing is we're designing innovative healthware.
Sorry. Thanks.
Sorry. Well, it looks like the fonts don't work on this computer, but it's fine. Oh, no, it's fine. So meet Andrea. She's a 26-year-old teacher. She is living a normal life, kind of enjoying life, and then all of a sudden she's diagnosed with cancer. She's told that she's going to be receiving treatment through her arm, through a PICC line for the next 6 months. And worst part about it, when you think about human empathy, she's told to wear a tube sock over her arm to protect her PICC line. When you think...
I can switch
Sure.
over if you want.
Okay.
Looking at Adobe Acrobat on this.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, should we go back to Bunny? Okay, so actually, John Chelico from North Shore, LIJ, is here. So tell me, what is the best hospital innovation you've seen in the last 6 months?
I think we're using our data from our electronic health record systems to actually build predictive models and guide the care that we give for patients while they're in the hospital. I think it's we use the data that we collect for our patients, particularly to treat one patient. But if we collectively look at the data over all the patients that we take care of in the hospital, we can actually predict mortality while the patient's in the hospital. And I think using the data right up front at the point of care while patients are in the bed, I think is something that we are doing a lot more of these days. So I think that's probably the most innovative thing that I've seen, and we've actually implemented in our health system.
That's great, John. So what I really love about this group is the depth and breadth of the knowledge and subject matter expertise. And the people in this room are, for lack of a better term, effing amazing, okay? You guys do great stuff every day. So one of the people in this room who was actually supposed to be on this panel, but said he had patients this morning, so we took him off the panel. But now I'm putting him back on it. Dr. Ashish Atreja, just so I don't mess up the names, I gotta look it up, is gonna join our panel. Come join us. You're gonna be Amy. Anyway, so Ashish is from right here from Mount Sinai. So we've got how many hospitals on the panel? We got North Shore, we got NYU, right? And we've got Anuj, who's the New York eHealthcare Collaborative, which is very much into that. So are we all set with our funds?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Start the clock again.
Do you want me
Let's
to
go.
start from right here?
Sure.
Okay. And so when we kind of looked at solutions to help Andrea and others, the best thing we could find is what you would stereotype your grandmother to knit and sell on Etsy. And so when you kind of think about it, would you rather wear a tube sock or something that's functional and fashionable? Kind of taking a step back, we realized every time you go to the hospital, everything you're given is a reminder of what you're going through. So whether it's for cancer, diabetes, a broken bone, even a Band-Aid, everything's been focused on the function and not on how it makes you look or makes you feel. And so we started with our ultra soft PICC line cover to see if patients in hospital really care about function and fashion. Why did we start with the PICC line? Well, it's a pretty large market. There's over 6 million PICC lines inserted every year. It's growing at greater than 5%. And then what makes us so special? Well, first of all, we have an antimicrobial fabric that regenerates whenever you put it in the washing machine. And so you're helping prevent infection, and you can make it so you can just throw it in the laundry and dryer with your normal clothes. Also, we have this special mesh window that you can see here that allows for air to get into the dressing and also allows for visibility for the caretaker. And of course, there's numerous design opportunities. So you can have different colors, you can have your favorite superhero, you can have your favorite baseball team, or even where you went to school or where you're getting your treatment. We've made a lot of progress in the last year. When we look about how we're distributing both direct to consumer as well as through hospitals. So we're happy to share that we're already selling to hospitals. We're working with leaders such as the Cleveland Clinic. We're also selling to retails and pharmacy outlets, and last week started selling to Walgreens, which is a pretty well-known pharmacy. And then finally, we sell to hospital gift shops. And we're proud to share that we just started working with Lori's Gifts, which manages over 3,000 locations nationwide. Secondly, to get direct to the consumer, we wanted to get in front of the people that actually are talking to the patients on a daily basis. And so we've partnered with a number of leading foundations to reach the end consumer and also give back. We're proud to share that we're working with leaders such as the American Cancer Society, who's promoting our product on their website, in their literature, actually tweeting about us and putting us in their social media, selling our product on their e-commerce platforms, and finally promoting us at special events. And then we're working with other leaders to kind of think of innovative ways to get to the consumer. Proud to share that we just signed a deal with Major League Baseball, so you can now wear your favorite baseball team on your sleeve. And we're working with leaders such as Parsons School of Design to help design future products. We've also won a few awards. We won $25,000 from Warner Brothers as part of the Horrible Bosses 2 movie premiere. We were named the most innovative startup at the Merck Innovation Summit a couple months ago. And last month, we were named one of the 100 most intriguing entrepreneurs by Goldman Sachs for 2015. Companies also love what we're doing and want to help out. We've gotten a lot of grants. We still haven't paid for office space. We've gotten a lot of great marketing services, et cetera. Most importantly to us, though, is the patients have great feedback to say. They've really loved what we've created and are really excited for what's in store. Our team, our two co-founders, I come from the investment banking and consulting world, and my co-founder comes from the fashion industry. More importantly is who we have helping us on a day-to-day basis. We have leading administrators from hospitals, doctors, nurses, social entrepreneurs, and people that have helped grow companies repeatedly over the years. And so we'd like to ask you to join us in helping create the healthcare industry and allow patients to get back to living your life. So tweet Medmo15 at Karenware to vote for us. Thanks.
Awesome.
I'm going to start the questioning.
Yeah.
I love the concept, by the
Yeah,
way. I
thanks.
absolutely love it. What's the price point, though, and who's paying at
Yeah.
any one time?
Great question. So who's paying depends on who we're selling to. So when we're selling it through our e-commerce platform, it's direct to consumer. So the patient pays, or whoever is buying it as a gift. It's $30. The way we priced it is $30 is what hospitals are paying for right now for the stretchy gauze that they put over the patient. And so we're replacing the tube sock with one of these. And then it also is a marketing opportunity for hospitals. So I was trying to see which one you were at. I can't read. Oh, you're not. Okay. So say, for example, I know you just came in from Mount Sinai. You could put the Mount Sinai logo on it and help promote kind of your own brand as well. And then, sorry, the other part is for hospitals, we give discounts based on volume. And we've told them, we've talked to a number of insurance companies, and they've said they would cover it. We don't want to deal with insurance, so we let hospitals deal with them.
Are there any barriers to entry? How do you stop the
Yeah,
large
so-
manufacturers from creating these products? Are they patented?
Great question. So a couple things. First is we were able to actually file a patent for this mesh window. It looks pretty simple, but no one out there had any way to allow air to get into the dressing. The dressing that you place over the PICC line actually requires air to get to it at all times. And so it's a pretty strong patent protection. Secondly, we're partnering with a lot of the companies that you would imagine would want to kind of go there. So when you think of like the J&Js of the world or 3Ms of the world, we've already been in pretty advanced discussions with them to work with them. And so like 3M owns maybe 80% of the Tegaderm market, which is the main dressing. We're partnering with them to get our armbands to go with them with the Tegaderm dressing.
Is there another product coming
Yeah,
online?
so it's actually en route to our office right now from our manufacturer, but we are about to launch a polo shirt for port patients, so providing access to the port with the same antimicrobial treatment. And then we have two other products that I can only share in January, unfortunately, but that'll be done with two big-time fashion designers here in New York.
What pushback are you getting from customers? Any type of pushback in terms of the pricing or the business model?
Yeah, I think the pushback is really kind of what Alex was talking about is the timing. So hospitals are actually super excited about it. We've been approved by a ton that I didn't list there that are super well-known brand names like MD Anderson, et cetera. The pushback is getting the purchasing guy to fill out the contract from approval to actually paying for it. And so that's kind of been our biggest issue to date, but it's something that we've been working with them, and the nurses and administrators keep bothering them until they do it, and that's how we got, like, Cleveland Clinic was actually done in 2 months, all in, which is pretty impressive timing. So it's definitely something that people seem to want.
With a focus on real patient experience, and that's really the focus of many of our healthcare organizations these days. I mean, this is a great invention. What do you say about the cost compared to the limited use of a lot of these things? 'Cause once you have a PICC line, you're done with it. Hopefully you're done with it. You never need it again, or hopefully your port is not in forever.
Right.
I mean, what do you do with it? I mean, is there an aftermarket for it? Do you give it to your cousin? I don't know.
Yeah, so the thing that most people don't know about a PICC line is that it's on average you have it in place for 4 to 6 months. So you actually are having it quite frequently, especially for chemo and Lyme disease and treatments like that. And so for them, it's actually a longer use than you would expect. The way that we kind of view it is kind of like an undershirt or a t-shirt. You're going to want to wear it for a few months, and you're going to have various designs And that's kind of where the different designs and marketing plays with Major League Baseball and other teams come as well. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I think this is actually a very big untapped market.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was in Cleveland Clinic, they started a big concept of the gowns
Right. with
not
Diane.
being nude
Yeah.
per se, the patients, and that was a big hit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's a big dominant player kind of bringing humanism to the patients, because in
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the hospital, it's sometimes like a prison, right? You
Right.
kind of wear a robe which is not human. So I think the market size as you expand your products is great.
Yeah.
So one suggestion I have being a gastroenterologist
Yeah.
is there's a big need in other areas as well, like ostomy.
Mm-hmm.
Always a big discussion, you know, a lot of time it's young people, and there it has to be waterproof if you have to go out
Right.
for beach and other stuff. But on another note, I like the way you found partnerships. The question is how deep the partnerships are, which
Yeah.
means you probably have an idea how many PICC lines Cleveland Clinic does
Right.
every month. What is your penetration there? How many percentage of patients in Cleveland Clinic, for example, are currently using your stuff?
Yeah, so that is very new. So they're literally just launched it last month, so the data is not going to be.
Do you have
super
data on any one of your partners, hospital partners?
We do. It's still, so basically it depends on, if we're selling to gift shops, then it's not going to be 100%. When the sale to the hospital is actually 100%, because the hospital will buy it and then give it to you as they insert the PICC line. So it's part of a kit where you do the Tegaderm dressing and then you do the PICC line as well. The PICC line cover as well. And so it's it kind of varies by channel. Well, one way we're kind of also marketing the patients to help expedite the hospital purchasing process is giving brochures out every time you get a PICC line inserted. So like for MD Anderson, for example, where it's already approved, they just hand out a brochure that you can send them online to our website.
Okay, so that was really fantastic. Thanks, very exciting stuff. Big round of applause. I know that I made a lot of work for you judges, and you thought this was going to be like a fun day, but you have a lot of homework to do. And so do you. So tweet it out to MedMo15 if you have an opinion that you like this idea, or if you have any questions. So next up, I'm not sure they're here, but MedTimers, one of the more exciting companies. MedTimers, you guys in the room? MedTimers? MedTimers. Okay, how about Cogneuse? I know that Cogneuse is here. Otherwise, this could be a very short panel. Okay, MedTimers or Cogneuse? Cogneuse is here. Okay, good. So, sorry, we got a little disorganized up front this morning, as you saw. So we kind of are just getting that back together. So while we're setting things up here, I don't see Anuj writing, and I haven't heard anything from Anuj. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the eHealthcare Collaborative and why you're excited about hospital innovation?
Sure. So the New York Health Collaborative, we also go by NICE. We are the state-doesn't entity in New York. We drive the adoption of health IT, work with the state. Something we're excited about this year is we finally have statewide patient record lookup live. And what that means really simply is that we have 32 million patients now in our database, statewide across the New York. 50,000 users now have access to EMRs that allow them to share data across the state, which is a really, really big accomplishment, because if you know what New York has done, New York has really invested significant dollars into health ITs in building an infrastructure. And now, no matter where you are in the state, if your patient has an EMR and you've signed consent and they're a member of the Shiny, which is about 80% of the hospitals, you can now actually have access to your records anywhere in the state for the provider can have access to it. So it's a really big accomplishment. We're really, really proud of it. And we really have been working closely with the ecosystem to make this a reality. So that's what's exciting in our world.
Good morning. My name is Andres Melik. I'm the CEO and founder of Cogneuse, a digital health company. And we develop solutions to support the continuum of care for cardiorespiratory and neurological disease. So the continuum of care for these diseases looks like something like this. In our vision, we support the whole continuum. So we start at the intensive care unit, go through subacute, acute, post-acute settings, all the way to the home. In this presentation, I will be focusing on the intensive care setting we're most actively pursuing at the moment. So the diseases and the conditions with these patients are usually described by things like long recovery times, confusion on the side of patients and family members, Of course, a lot of complications, readmissions resulting from these complications, and virtually very little follow-up and continuity, and moving within the moving down the line in the continuum, limited reimbursement for the long term. And of course, this is creating a lot of problems for the patients and caregivers, but also a lot of opportunity to improve on. So what our product is, it's a cross-platform digital health solution. It works on desktop, tablets, and mobile interfaces. And what happens, patients actually get and family members actually get an iPad already at the intensive care unit. The type of content the iPad includes is things like educational material, early rehabilitation tasks, so that family members can actually take part in the rehabilitation at the intensive care unit, literally. Also things like delirium screenings, cognitive assessments, cognitive training. And the whole idea is to empower patients, family members, caregivers, and the clinical staff. Also, we are monitoring the ICU environment with the same iPad. So we are actually ensuring the quiet time, for instance, at the intensive care and acute settings. And all of this is targeting early mobilization and reducing the length of stay. Going through the acute settings, of course, extending the therapeutic resources. So doing more with the same amount of therapists, be they speech therapists, OTs, physical therapists, and driving provider savings and, of course, satisfaction scores. So focusing on the ICU, 5 million patients a year. As you can see, average cost per case about 34,000 or approximately 8,000 a day. Now, when we go into complications, be it minor or major, these figures really shoot up quite a bit. And our whole vision and target is to provide a more effective healthcare delivery. So have 3 to 5% efficiency improvements, may it be in the HCAP scores or simply by lowering the cost in those settings. We work with two pricing models. One is per patient. It's essentially the easier one, I guess. And the other one is per outcome. So, of course, as a company in the digital health space, we want to do evidence-based solutions. So we always push hospitals and health systems to agree on a value-based revenue share model, but also the main reason being they get the benefits validated in 3 to 6 months at their own setting and can then use that to expand within the health system. We already do have the feasibility data in from one of the large health systems here in New York. It's overwhelmingly positive, so patients see that this could be used in all the ICUs. We started with just the neuro. Now we're moving into cardiorespiratory. And family advocates, of course, a great reference tool in those settings. And I think by this time we've had 60 patients go through this, and we're moving into phase 2, meaning a randomized study with 150 plus 150 patients. And that's creating some confusion at the particular ICU because the family member is not getting it or the patients want it to. So we have to figure out how to do that. So we are working with, as I mentioned, North Shore, also Johns Hopkins. We went through the Dream It Health Accelerator in 2014, and we're co-located both in New York and in San Diego, so kind of diagonally trying to cover the whole country. As well, putting some NLP intelligence into the platform and working with Amazon on the cloud-based part. And again, investors from the accelerator last year, and we closed a $500,000 seed round last October. And always done? Yeah. Okay, so you can, I can't talk anymore, but you can just read that.
So my first question is, are you integrated with all EMRs?
So we built this as an open platform. At North Shore, we are integrated with RedCap, which is the research database. We do have a development partnership with Allscripts. With Epic, we don't have any integrations yet, but of course we are open to integrate with all of them. or surname. So for us, we only take out the demographic data and then put in essentially a PDF report, like visualizing all the progress. So there is not much going into the actual databases, but we aren't integrated with Cerner or Epic yet.
There's a lot of competition in this space for integrating based on the value HCAPS and other products. What's your differentiator from some of the other companies in your space?
Yeah, so we take just patient engagement and empowerment, and that's one thing. So we go disease specific. So we do with stroke, as I mentioned, cardiorespiratory. So we actually put the tools there that the clinicians will otherwise they're using them on paper usually, or not using them because it's too cumbersome. Also things like there's a lot of standalone solutions, for instance, in cognitive assessment and cognitive rehabilitation. So the way we built the platform is we opened it up for them because otherwise they don't have access to those settings. So we're kind of building a platform for that.
So I guess it seems like there's a couple different products.
So
is the core like the ICU monitoring piece? Is it the cognitive development piece? Is it the...
It starts at the ICU, goes into the acute, so the content dynamically changes according to the care phase. And it starts with the patient, essentially the diagnosis or diagnoses that they have. So it's all tailored to that diagnosis.
And how did you develop the content or prove that the content is more effective than other cognitive development platforms?
Yeah, so this is more of a, I would say, a support platform. So cognitive is only one part of it, one of the content parts. So the content actually comes from it. For instance, in neurosurgery, it comes from neurosurgeons. So we don't make it up. I have a computer engineering background, and then we're supported by a pretty wide advisory board and neuropsych teams and so on, neurointensivists.
So this is implemented in our health system, though I'm not directly involved, so I'll say that. But the one thing that we always find difficult with this technology is that we generally need a lot of on-site resources to actually implement it. So when we go and implement it in another ICU or another floor, if those resources are not available or there's no interest, the project usually dies. How will you ever get over that?
So I guess quick answer is we'll find out. But so we were lucky enough to get a lot of resources from one of your hospitals. So I think they actually had more people involved in the project than we did, which is exceptional. But the way the business model works is basically that team does have to become the internal sales force. If that doesn't happen, then you're right, it kind of dies in in its great legacy.
Actually, John, this is a question for you, because at the telehealth event that we had a couple of weeks ago, we learned about the North Shore Tele ICU. Is this integrated with that, or is it separate?
Yeah. So this starts at the neurosurgery ICU.
Okay.
Which actually just speaks to the point of the multiple touch points for sale within an institution necessary for this product. So it's department, CMIO, CMO, quality, nursing, others.
Yes.
One brief question and a suggestion. The question is, I think Hopkins has a very big tele-ICU monitoring program as well. So I presume it may not be integrated as of now with that.
Yeah. So tele-ICU is actually adjacent to this. Yeah. So having a neurointensivist oversee a number of units.
The suggestion I have is EHRs are always a little tough to integrate. There are new standards coming with FHIR, but there are a lot of modules coming for transitions of care coordination, and those are mid-level vendors. And so this actually may fit in nicely with integration with those mid-level vendors as well. So you may get into the same functionality, but using transition of care coordination softwares.
You're exactly right. I mean, we've seen more sort of openness on the mid-level players in this space, so not the big ones, not so much.
Thank you. Okay, so it looks like we had one no-show, unless MedTimers, Yasir Ali, have you shown up yet? Yasir? Okay, so I guess we cut this short, but I would actually like to hear a little bit more from the panel. Everybody else want to hear more from the panel? Okay, so I don't think I've heard from our sponsor yet, Cipher Health. So Zach Silversby, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do and get us excited about Cipher?
Sure. So Cipher Health is a patient engagement company. We help acute care hospitals reach out to patients, identify issues, and then provide a system where their different care teams can engage those patients to improve outcomes. Company started in 2009, so we've been doing it for 6-7 years. And it's been an extraordinary success story, really. We've helped many thousands of patients. We've reached over 4 million patients to date. We're now doing work with over 200 hospitals across the country, and we're modern healthcare's best place to work in healthcare. I think one of the questions that was asked is kind of what's the most innovative stuff that's going on? And it's also a little bit of a word of advice to the folks that came up and presented, and it kind of repeats what you said. We really focus on a data-driven approach, and that's part of the reason that we've been so successful, is that you've got to take these first pilot opportunities. If you're in one hospital and one unit at LIJ, you've got to focus so much on the data so that way when people are making the decision as to do we expand to the rest of the hospital, do we expand to the other hospitals in the system, it's just an unequivocal yes. And so I think that's part of what we did, and it's worked really well. So if anybody wants to chat, we already work with most of the folks up here, but anybody else in the audience, we're happy to talk to you.
That's great, thanks. So we have a few more minutes before Wen starts. We can take some questions from the audience. Does anybody have any questions for the panel about hospital innovations? Okay. One of the mics. Thank you. Introduce yourself. So we're very
My
collaborative.
name is,
okay, she knows.
My name is Francie Grace. I'm a social media strategist. I'm very involved as a patient advocate. I've always, this is for Cognews, I guess. I've always thought it's great to get tablets out there and so we can use the information real time. But I've also, at the same time, since it's not my specialty, how do you handle the germ issue with all these tablets being passed around? Because especially in chemo and a lot of big things, germs is a huge issue. So what do we do about that?
Yeah, so on our side, the hospital staff.
You need the mic.
You need to be on the mic and come up front.
I'm sure it can be handled. I just don't know the answer.
Yeah, so the hospital or the provider takes care of the cleaning of the iPads. What we do provide, together with the software solution, is a security case and a cable, so that the iPad doesn't walk away from the ICU, for instance, or the acute setting. But the hospital takes care of and we're not treating so it's kind of similar like having a TV screen in the ICU, so we're not treating it as a medical device. I think only in Japan, if you touch an iPad in the hospital, it becomes a medical device. We've seen that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, so we actually have a little time. And so I guess we can open up to discussion. Does anybody else have more questions? Anyone?
So, sorry, my name's Kai. I'm from, maybe I need a mic. Can anyone not hear me? No. I'm from Merck.
Very clear.
And I'm actually curious about innovation with the aging population. And what innovations are you most excited about in the next 3 years that will help keep the aging population out of hospitals?
Thanks, Mike. Mike from Merck.
Kai from Merck.
Kai from Merck. Thank you. Thank you.
So the innovation that we focus on most for the elderly population is something that was developed 80 years ago. We've started just using the phone. And I think hospitals it takes a lot of time for folks to sort of come to consensus around what the best mechanism is to reach different types of patients. And so when you ask about elderly patients in particular, There's just absolutely no comparison in terms of if you're trying to reach them to communicate health information, picking up the phone if you're a case manager and calling that patient, or using a technology solution to do mass outreach over the phone, hands down 50, 75, 100% more effective in reaching that population than any app, than any other kind of tool, SMS, email, anything else that you're going to use. I do think the way that we reach patients, and I think the big innovation is going to be really targeting different mechanisms of outreach and engagement for different cohorts at different times. Right? So there's different types of programs that you're going to engage different types of people in, and you just need to make sure that you're really studying the data on reach rates, on connection rates, and trying to find the right techniques to reach out to those different populations.
The other thing that works well for that audience is that many of them visit retail sites. So retail pharmacies as a partner for providing additional care or for doing assessments actually has been shown in a number of studies, and these have been published, to really have an impact on medication adherence, on being able to engage family members, and even assessing nutritional status and what the needs are. And you actually can, if you do some data analysis, look at front-end store purchase and back-end prescriptions and actually come up with a profile and assessment of needs. And some centers and health systems actually have partnered with retail centers to do their baseline Medicare assessments. And so you have a local outreach. I think many of you are aware retail pharmacies, almost every American lives within 1 mile to 2 miles. You can really set up a basic infrastructure, low cost, and then be able to also have some partnerships with the population.
Does that include the Welcome to Medicare visit you've seen retailers get involved?
Yeah, one thing I can say about this population is that I think technology, things like patient portals, the data shows that once they get signed up to patient portals and are engaged and have the right information there, this population of patients is no different in patient portal usage than any other age group. So we have this misconception that the elderly don't use the computer or don't use technology. The problem is we don't have technology to actually they want to use. So I think that's really a space where we need to actually look at more integrated patient portals. I mean, patients don't need to have 5 different portals, they need to have 1 portal, and I think that's something we need to really think about.
Okay, so do we have any more questions for our panel? We have another 5-10 minutes. Paulo Machado, one of the walking gallery. Does everybody know what this thing is? This is the walking gallery, started by our friend Regina Holiday. She basically painted the backs of our jackets, so everybody who's a walking gallery person, Emily Healthcare Wen, also known as Wen, you're all here right now. I'm really honored to have you, including Amy Cueva and Paulo. But Paulo's got a question.
Yeah, just very quick, great panel discussion. Just wanted you to share your thoughts on what are you doing to prepare for this big shift towards more of the risk shifting to you and going toward this ACO model and population health becoming the provider's area of focus. What are you doing to prepare for that?
That's a great question, loaded question though. One thing which I would say is the conversation in the last 3 years alone has shifted from why we should adopt digital health to how we should adopt it. And I would say probably that's the same thing that conversation happens in every C-suite in the hospital right now, which I think is a very big thing. It took 10, 15 years for EHR to get implemented. It hasn't taken more than 3 to 4 years for post-EHR technology, digital medicine, to start to become mainstream. I don't think so any hospital has the same strategy as other hospital, but a lot of hospitals I do know have started piloting out from ACOs and other things to kind of test the waters. So I think it's wide open space as now how the relationship will emerge. But definitely for Sinai perspective, I can say we're learning from our ACO population from a data-driven approach as much as we can. And before, I think in 2-3 years, a quarter of our population will be at risk. So we know that's coming.
They're hiring people like Cheryl.
I've been at NYU for a year, and my background is in the insurance industry, some retail health, and digital health. And I think health systems are doing comprehensive approaches. So if you do believe that to manage a population, you need to have all of their data, at NYU, we're making sure every physician practice and every health system is on Epic. we now have access to data across our entire system. If you also believe that in cost savings and cost management, the best thing for a patient is to have them actually not be admitted to the hospital and begin to look at your revenue models that way. You'd shift your care to an ambulatory model. And I'd say we in the New York area definitely have taken the lead on that and making sure that that model exists. And then the third piece of this is how do you now train current and future doctors to live within a world where a pharmacist and a nurse practitioner is part of the team. And if you guys have looked at the UHC quality data, NYU is actually #1 on both ends, inpatient and outpatient, and in redesigning medical education so that it's not just looking at 3 years of medical school, adding business in, making sure nurse practitioners are part of the team, using iPads on rounds, empowering patients to do more. I think there are some health systems that are far down the road in doing this, and I think it's because they've been getting ready for some of it. But I remind people, value-based medicine has been around for a very long time. We're just talking about it a lot more, and if you've been strategic in your health system, you've actually laid some of the groundwork to now be able to capture some of these and be a first leader.
Okay. Okay, we have time for one more question. Flora, if you could bring her a mic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Afsana Naimola. I am an investment banker and a strategy consultant. I guess, you know, one of the things I've been thinking a lot lately is we spend a lot of time and money on sick care. Question is, are hospitals doing anything about prevention? Do you have any prevention program?
I think that's one of the key missions of any health system is actually to provide health for their community. I mean, I think there's probably not a health system out here that has that part of their mission. And I think we're doing more for our patients and the patient populations. And I think the way we're getting reimbursed is actually focusing on that. So the care that we actually do within our brick and mortar for, you know, ambulatory sites or hospital sites is not the only place we're focusing on. So places where we're actually contributing to the community and finding other places where patients can access you know, preventive health, you know, just general education, and focusing on all different levels of the population, not just sort of the sick care or the elderly. I think you need to really prevent things before they get to a place where you need a health system. So a lot of our focus is on the community.
Excuse me. I need everybody's scoring sheets. Zach? Okay. Okay. You have another 7 minutes.
7 minutes, that's a lot. That's great. So I think I would say even though the value-based care has been there, the incentives have never been more aligned. Now with the bundle payments, with the distrip, so now it's like it's a direct cost, right? So I'll give you a typical example. We were making a colonoscopy bowel preparation app. Do you know 1 in 4 colonoscopies, which are really bad procedures? I do it all the time on my patients, but it's really bad, inconvenient procedure. 1 in 4 have poor bowel prep. So the person has to either repeat it or come at an earlier time. So I approached one of the largest endoscopy centers and I said, hey, we have a prep. We have an app which actually guides the patient through this, and from 25% can reduce to 10%. They said that means less than 15% reduction in our revenue model, because these patients come back and they increase the revenue, right? And if I'm telling them I'm increasing the quality of the prep, which means these patients are not gonna come back for repeat colonoscopy, it's actually directly hitting the revenue. Didn't go anywhere, right? Now it's completely opposite, right? So we have bundles payment coming on, and very soon colonoscopy will be into it. So now if I don't provide that solution or some kind of a solution, it's gonna hit my revenue much more. So it's totally opposite now. So one of the things where I think the convergence is really happening is this telemedicine apps along with the Internet of Things. So right from home, for example, for this elderly population, you can monitor if the patient, even if they are at the bed, how often they're turning in the bed to prevent ulcers, right? So you can actually have a very good, now there's an incentive that hospitals and health systems can invest. And they can put like, okay, I have 20,000 heart failure patients. Let me put $100,000 just to have one person who's gonna manage and get all the data back and act on it. There was no that population health part, even though it was part of our mission, we never had money to do it. Now hopefully we'll have money from all this. So I think the technologies are gonna get integrated, and there's a lot more evidence that will be generated which technology out of 165,000 apps which are currently there, which apps are really gonna be mainstream, and how we're gonna use it to create maximum value. So this is exciting time to start doing that.
Okay, so you know, a big part about this event is getting momentum for these startups. So I just want to say thank you to the panel, but you're not done yet. I have one quick question for each of you. Of the 3 companies that were presented for you so far today, just as a show of hands, okay, who wants to work with Karen Ware? Karen Ware? Karen Ware? Wow, that's great. 4 out of 5? Okay. How about from the crowd? Anybody want to work with Karen Ware? Anybody want better PICC lines, PICC line covers? I know that I would have appreciated that at one point in time. Okay, now liver biopsies that are virtual without that big needle. Everybody like MagnaPath? Mark Pugnana? Okay, now a little more lukewarm. And let's talk about Cognews. We excited about Cognews? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Well, this is important information. I mean, if you look at the back of my jacket, there's a company that's dead there. You know why it's dead? Because people didn't actually want it. And that's important criteria. People like MedStartr, so we do it. The important thing to know as an entrepreneur is you're spending your time on the right things. And you're saying the right words that get these people and you guys excited about what you're doing. So that's what momentum is all about. So without further ado, thanks to all of your votes. How many votes did we have, Jim?
7.
Okay, 7. We can do better than that. It's early yet. There's coffee outside if anybody needs it. But we also, you know, our judges, our experts, we value them greatly, and they actually get a big say in this. So, but Twitter gets a 3rd, so feel free to, you know, use that Twitter thing. So this is our beautiful award, a snow globe that says MedMo first place. So I would like to invite up Care and Wear, because you are the first winner at MedMo 15. Along with this, we also are going to, they get a package of $3,000 worth of help from Shepard Mullen, one of our sponsors, and hopefully a few meetings. You saw a lot of hands raised there. That's awesome. MedStartr acceleration package. So we've helped Sunny Wu and Dave Chase and 300 other people get their idea off the ground, which includes a bunch of consulting and stuff. And also, one of the 4 winners will also get $5,000 review critique from Mad Pow. So it's actually a pretty valuable package. So thank you, congratulations, and thank you to our panel. It's been great, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks.